Hey guys, welcome to Celia's playlist. Today I am here with Chris Evans, who is a songwriter, producer, and performs under the stage name AudioGust. How's it going, Chris?
Real good. Real good.
Awesome, I'm glad to hear. So, Chris, I guess we should start out. Tell us a little bit about your musical history.
Sure. Let's see. I started back, writing songs and playing in bands in, high school and played a bunch around Ohio and when we went to college, we had a student-run recording studio in our dorm, which was kind of amazing. This was a long time ago. It was like not computers; it was like actual tape. And learned to sort of record a bunch of bands and did a bunch of production back then, and kept doing that. And it was a blast to sort of learn how to do these things. And of course, everything changed when all the computers came along, and we started being able to use DAWs. And we had unlimited effects and channels compared to before, where we'd have to really, live in a small number. But just absolutely love doing that. I spent a bunch of time as a software engineer in the middle there because it's nice to get paid and make a living. But recently sort of came back to just doing this and built this space that I'm sitting in right now, which is my studio at home, and started writing a bunch of songs, started doing a lot of collaborative writing with people and releasing songs using the AudioGust name, largely because for those of you who came on thinking they were going to see a different Chris Evans, there's a lot of Chris Evanses. So went with the AudioGust name, so I can actually have something that is clearly me.
I was going to make a Chris Evans joke, but you made the Chris Evans joke, so I don't have to make the Chris Evans joke anymore. I see many instruments in there, and I know that you likely, with that many instruments, are a multi-instrumentalist. What do you play?
Guitar, bass, drums. I can make keyboards sound good in recordings. I wouldn't call myself a keyboard player per se. And I sing all my songs as well. So I sort of do all those things.
I hear lots of instruments here. When you're writing, how does that process go? Do you start with a melody? Do you start with an instrument? Do you start with lyrics? What is your process kind of?
It depends on the
like?
song. It's weird how different songs will come in a different way. I've had songs where I literally woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I have a song actually on that's released just before the end of the last year called "Bubble in Your Champagne," which literally came to me at 2:30 in the morning. I woke up, I had the first verse in my head, then I had the chorus, then the second verse, and I was like, okay, I need to write this down now. But that was the sort of melody and lyrics all sort of came to me in the middle of the night. Other times, if I want to create something, I will just sort of come in here and just start playing and just create what I call a seed of a song. It's basically a backing track with no melody yet. But those become really great tools for working with other people and saying, hey, what do you think about this as a song? And then we'll sort of work together on a top line and lyrics for the song. So I've, each of those things, depending on sort of what's going on or what's where the muse is hitting you.
So for your own music, do you write that all yourself? I know that we kind of got into the fact before the interview that you co-write. Do you co-write on other people's things, or do you co-write on your own stuff?
Interesting question. So all of the things that I'd recorded through last year, which is about 20 songs that were released, were all me end to end. And then I would do a lot of collaborations for other people on other songs or ones that weren't really AudioGust songs, like some country songs or things like that wouldn't really quite fit with what I do, or at least what I release using that name. And then, but with a release that went out in March, was sort of the first songs that I released that were co-writes with other singers. Actually, they're all women in this case, and they sang on them as well. So these are my first sort of AudioGust songs that weren't me singing as well. And the sort of an EP, but I think Spotify calls it a single, even though there's 3 songs on it. So it's a 3-sided single, and you should figure out the physics for that one. It's called Love and Pain, and just 3 really, really, really great songs, but just different songs. And it was sort of an opportunity to sort of bring a little more variety into that because of who it was I was writing with and who these women are as singers and as artists themselves.
That's really cool that you went from doing it yourself to doing it with people. What did the I guess the evolution of your process go, through that, like incorporating the collaboration?
So I started working with a group called the Songwriting Academy, who are in England, about a year ago, well, beginning of 2023. And they are really strong on the collaboration thing, and for really good reasons. Which is, first of all, is that you don't have to do everything, and it's kind of hard to do everything, and so it's nice to have other people there to help out and to sort of contribute to it, and you end up with something that is sort of better, right? It has more sort of, or frequently, you're going to have more, more sort of input, more coming from more directions, and a better chance of. At the time you're writing it, have someone go, but what if it's this? And it's something that's just better. And you're like, oh, that's just better. Something I wouldn't have thought of. And so that was a great sort of pattern for developing, for learning to do more things and to try out other things. And now as a multi-instrumentalist and a producer, a lot of those things, I can do all the parts, but it's really nice to work with someone else and say, okay, for this song, I don't have to do all those things, right? They will come in with, maybe we'll work together on what the concept is, the lyrical concept is, but they'll come in with an idea. And some of the songs that I've worked with some people are just, these are great songs that I would not have written by myself. And I love the way that they've turned out. And actually, you'd see that with the Love and Pain songs. I'm working with some other folks that I met on Threads with a couple songs that hopefully are coming out around this time that are just really just like so good, and excited to see them developing as artists as well. And it's really nice to have songs that other people cut, and just sort of it's this real joy as a songwriter to say, okay, well, what would they do, and they like it enough that they're going to go do the work to do the promotion and the production, and or even if I do the production with them, it's you've done something that really resonates with another artist if they're going to take that step and do the work to release it, and I love that.
We're in an odd time for releases. That's just a statement. An odd time for releases with a period at the end.
Band name.
Odd time for releases. Let's go. That's going to be my, just watch. I'm going to make a band, and that's going to be the name.
Check and see if the domain's available right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's going to have like a little asterisk, and it's going to say, named by Chris Evans, not that Chris Evans. It's an odd time for releases right now. Over the, I guess the span of your career, you've seen a decent amount of different eras of how to promote yourself. How does now kind of differ from I guess where you started? Because you started with a college radio station. I was on my college radio station as a guest a couple times, and even back then, because I graduated college in 2016, so it's a little more recent.
I was a little before that, but yeah, you get the idea.
But even then was very different for music releases. So what kind of have you noticed over time with how the industry has changed?
Well, for one, since streaming sort of came in, particularly with Spotify, it's possible to get your music out to the entire world. And when I was starting out, either when I was doing just pure records and vinyl before, or even I had a band that released an album around 1999 or so, and the internet was around, so there was mp3.com, and so we were on the charts of mp3.com. But it was still, everybody was sort of trying to figure it out, and the scale wasn't there. It's nothing like the number of people who are on Spotify today who are listening to things. So the great thing about it, honestly, is that I can release my songs today, and they have every chance of being heard by anyone anywhere in the world that every song by Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you name it, has, right? It's in the exact same place, and it is equally easy to stream a song by all, not to find, but to stream. So that's an amazing opportunity that we have, right? So that was a gatekeeper, that was a barrier that was there before, that just isn't there anymore. Now we have the other problem, which is the same problem with with mobile apps and websites and everything. It's been around forever. It's once you get that scale, now how does your specific track or you as an artist get found? How do they come to you? And that's really real sort of, that's the game today, is how do I get found amidst all of the everything that's there. And there are some new tools that are great. Spotify provides a bunch of tools, that slowly become available to you as you get to be, as you get to have more listeners between, marquee ads and discovery mode and those kinds of things, which are great. And then there's the social media, and if you're a live artist, then of course there's getting out there and actually playing, and there's an entire industry of people trying to help you sort of build on those fan bases, right? Like being, I've heard one great idea, which was go to when an artist that is in the same sort of genre as you is coming through town, go when everyone's waiting in line outside and talk about your band to these people. These are people who are already fans of the genre of the music that you do, and they're waiting to get in to listen to more music of the type of music you do, and they have nothing else to do in that line. This is a great opportunity to go talk to them and meet who are, potentially real great listeners of and fans of your music, and connect with them, and give them something that points to your Spotify page or whatever. Like absolutely amazing hacks like that are available if you're the type of group that's going to get out and you can get on and meet people like that.
I like that you bring that up, because essentially, like, not exactly, but like, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're, I met you on the internet and we're talking here, and not that I'm asking you to use me for anything, but if you ever did, where to find that.
Right.
So it's networking when it comes down to it. It's networking with an interested fan base at a show that people already like the kind of music you make, is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And it is, it's tricky finding all the different things you need to do these days. I mean, I did a post on Threads a little while ago about, wow, there's a lot of steps that we do these days, right? It's yes, there's the writing the song and being the guitar player and the bass player and the drummer and the singer and then the mixing it and then the mastering it. And all of those things everybody sort of understands is required before a song gets out. But then there's the PR person and the marketing person and the paralegal, as you have to get everyone's, split sheet signed before you can actually release it. And, and there's a whole long list of them and I kept forgetting ones and adding onto that post of, oh yeah, and this and this and this. There's a lot these days. And then, making your videos and doing your social media and doing your, your regular posts and all those things and creating your content and because you do this,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
And
I know
talking
that part
to
of it.
People like you who have big playlists and about your song, and then hearing from other people saying, oh, your song isn't this genre, it's that genre, and then other person saying your song isn't that genre, it's this genre, and it's like, but they just said it wasn't that. But yeah, it's it's sort of a never-ending list of things to go and do, and that's the point where finding people that you can work with who have those skills or have some ability to it's knowing when to ask for help for those things, honestly, and then finding the people, and this is the tricky part, that you can trust that will do those parts really well for you, and then connecting with them and sort of building on that.
I totally agree with that, because for me, like, even with, the fact that I own a business doing, like, a lot of the media side of everything, I don't take every client that comes through my door, because I have to have a connection with them, and I need to trust that they're going to put in the work on the back end, because I can make as much content as possible for this person, but if they're not going to use it and they're not going to put it out and whatever, like,
Yep.
it's just more work for me. Obviously I'm getting paid for it, but like, it's not being utilized to push the actual music. So like it's kind of the same thing in the artist position. Like, if I'm not gonna put the time in on your content and like get it done in a really nice way, or I don't understand you as an artist, it's not going to be an easy situation to move forward from. So I like that you kind of brought up the fact that, like, it's about trust and trusting the people on your team, because it really is a team when you think about it. And that's why I try and work with the same artists, because then I already understand them as a person, to have that translate into what they're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing goes with songwriting. Like, the first time you write a song with somebody, you have no idea what's going to happen, and you can't. And so you sort of try it, and sometimes, wow, it goes amazingly smooth, and you're like, oh, I want to write some more songs for this person. And sometimes it doesn't, and that's fine, right? People are different, and the thing about songwriting is that you go on to write the next one, and that's sort of the it's the game, really. It's like it's a numbers game. You have to write a lot of songs to get them out there, to have the one that is someone's going to hear at the right moment and is going to either then record and release, become huge, or is going to put it into some sync opportunity. You got to have it out there before they can hear it and before that can happen. And so it's important to keep doing those things. And in your case, it's you only have so many hours in the day that you can be contributing or creating the content, and you kind of want to do it with the people who are going to try to do the work to have it, go be that, to go to it, that is going to work for them, right? That's going to help them get to that next level.
100%. And not everyone is cut out for the internet game. Some people are better in the live music circuit, and that's where they're comfortable. But
Yep.
If you're promoting yourself online and you're putting your music on Spotify and all of these things, like, especially with the metrics right now for booking is very much based online. People look you up and they're like, oh, you only have like 7 streams, or like, oh, you have however many monthly users. Like, they think of that as a metric. So making sure that you incorporate people that are going to help you improve those metrics are very important.
Well, and it's also people have gotten much smarter about these things, right? Because none of those numbers themselves actually tell you anything, because it's possible to game any one of those numbers. And so it's but if you look at that full sort of set of numbers across an artist, you can begin to go, okay, is this real or not? Are they paying for being put on some huge playlist that maybe has a lot of bots or something like that? And so the numbers are huge, and yet they've got no followers, no followers on Spotify, or no followers on Instagram or whatever else. And so you need to sort of look across a set of things to really get the full picture of who that are. And all of the labels and all of those folks, they've gotten good at this. They know how to go do that. And there's tools for this. There's chart metrics and things like that will, for any given artist, that they'll go, okay, here is the completeness. And it's always fine for them, I think, to have some gaps in there. But it's like, if you say, oh, they're just paying for streams and that's all they've got, then okay. Even if you've got, hundreds of thousands of streams, if they're not, if they don't map to real fans, then it's not the same thing.
100%.
And not just good or bad. It's just,
You can usually tell, especially on like the social media apps. You could tell.
Yeah, and it's not always social media. I mean, there's plenty of, like you said, there's a lot of people who just aren't good with social media, and they just can't. I'm definitely, my social media game is not an A game.
Hey, your social media game got you here.
That's true. It's good enough for that, which I appreciate. I mean, but that's Threads, right? Threads came along at a very interesting time, and was open, and it's difficult to get seen on Instagram, particularly given that there were that many people there, and it was sort of wide open. And with Threads, it was, everyone was new when we sort of jumped onto that. So it's sort of, it gave a better chance for people to be able to connect into that, and to begin to, find other people who are all just sort of coming in at the same time, right? It reminded me of like freshman year of college, where everyone was new. Like, anyone living in the dorm, they were all new there, right? Nobody had friends. It wasn't, a lot of people didn't live in the same place where they grew up, and they certainly weren't in the same school where they used to be. And so everyone was starting over with a new set of friends. And so that was like always one of the best times ever to sort of meet people, because everyone was open to it. And when Threads was first opening, it was kind of that, because while you brought some of your friends and things over from Instagram, it wasn't all of them, and this was a different communication from what Instagram was. And so, it was sort of a great opportunity to go do that. And it still kind of feels like that. And it's nice to be able to have like stronger connections with people and get to meet them. And that's where I ran into you and a bunch of other people who are looking for music. And I was always happy to say, well, here's one, and here's one, and here's my latest one. And what do you think about this one? Mm-hmm. Just because it's it's not the most efficient way to grow listeners, but it's one of the most connected ways that I think I could do.
It's a really cool community. It's a really interesting place to be. So if you're not on Threads and you're watching this, go check it out.
And this is not paid for by Meta.
No, it is not, but that's a thing that may help you. So Chris, tell me, this is the big question I'm kind of asking everyone on this. and you could take this any direction that you want. Tell me what your advice to someone that would be getting into music now would be. And you could take it in whatever direction you want. I know it's a big question.
It's a great question. I think first is understand what you want out of it. The music industry is a place where, you know, a lot of people come in with dreams of, you know, becoming huge, right? And being the next Taylor Swift or, you know, U2 or whatever. And the odds of that aren't great. It's like winning the lottery, and the odds of that aren't great either. But it doesn't have to be that, right? And there's so many places and so many ways to get to create a successful career in the music industry today, and that were never possible before. There are, you know, being able to sync is a huge way of making some money from your music while you're writing it and while you're still trying to be that other thing. Like I said, getting your music out to the entire world can hear it is great. It is easier than ever to find other people to write with and to be able to use that as sort of a stepping stone. I know some people who wrote, you know, with and people who were really famous. Like I know a guy who wrote with Justin Bieber and wrote with, you know, Selena Gomez, but not when they were famous. Wrote with them before they were famous, and then they became famous. At which point they still wrote with the same famous Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez that you know of today. They just wrote with them before then. And so if you write with, you know, you look for people who you see who are like, they're not famous yet, but they're really good, and they might be that, and they're probably really open to writing today. And so you can connect with them, and maybe you'll get to that point, you know, as a songwriter. But if you keep working at it and keep writing, keep doing new songs, keep plugging at it, keep playing, then, you know, the good things happen to the ones who stick with it. And it you know, it is a numbers game a lot, particularly as a songwriter and producer and things like that. So do it a lot. You'll get better at it, and the more you have out there, the better chance that one song is going to hit that one person who just needed it at that moment to make it, you know, the Friends theme song, or man, the money from that one, or something that shows up in a movie or a commercial or whatever, right? Which suddenly ends up paying for an awful lot more years of trying at it. But get the music out there, I guess. So that's a lot of rambling, but I think the best summary would be write the music, create the music, and get it out there so people can hear it, because it really does no good sitting on your hard drive.
I love that that's the advice, because you know, that's it. I always say, like, you know, it's fine to put things out at 90% so long as you're putting things out, because if you're waiting for those last percents, it might take you years. Well,
and there is no perfection, right? I mean,
this is true.
You look at all the different people who are parking.
You're flashing.
Windy day in the Pacific Northwest. You know, a lot of people who are out there releasing songs. They're, you know, that I kind of lost my train of thought.
It's all good. We're talking about perfection, but there is no such thing as perfection.
Sorry, there is no perfection.
This is live.
There you go. Where did I go? Electricity. Cool. So there is no, I mean, like, look at the number of songs that can be recorded any number of different ways, right? And a great song could be done as an acoustic version, could be done as a rock track, could be done as a country song, could be done as a, you know, as an EDM, you know, dance track. And so they're all so different, yet they're the same song. And so you can't write and finish the perfect thing, because you can always go in more directions that are interesting for it. So don't look for perfection. Look for something that you love. Look for a track that, if you really adore it, if you think this is great, I love this, then I promise you there are a lot of other people out there who feel the same way, who have sort of the same musical background that you have, the same sort of music fingerprint, who will also love it just because they feel the same way you do. And if you can get that out there and get it out there so you can start finding those people. And that's the game, right? Is find your audience.
Which is a very important game. So speaking of audience, Chris, where can people find you, and where can people find the, what do we call it, the three-sided EP and the project that you're putting out in May?
Yeah. So I'm on all the streaming services as AudioGust. Also, you can find me at my website, AudioGust.com. And yeah, so the Love and Pain is out now, and is just a great set of songs. I'd love for you to take and go listen to those things. And then, I'm working on an exciting thing right now that's coming out in May. I'm working with Liz Rodriguez, who's a great songwriter who has written for Celine Dion and Eminem and all sorts of really great people. And we're working on a song that we're releasing with a group of other folks who are as part of the Songwriting Academy as well. And so, all those are coming out, I think, around May 16th, 17th is the release date. And so it's an exciting, it's a really exciting song. It's a bunch of fun. And so I'm really psyched for folks to hear that. And it's such a delight to work with people who have been doing this just at this great level of just, working with some of the best known artists out there, and really could have come in with this sort of openness but confidence of we're gonna go create something really good. So what do we want to do? And it's just been a delight working with folks like that.
I love that, and I look forward to hearing that. So you'll have to make sure that it gets sent to me when it's ready.
I'll let you know.
Awesome. So thank you so much for sitting with me today, Chris. I hope that people make their way over to your social medias and listen to your music. This is me telling you to do that. Go there now. We're at the end of the video. Go now. So thank you so much for being a part of the playlist project and sitting down with me today. And I think that you had a lot of really great information that will help a lot of people. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Great being here.
No problem. On that note, I will see you guys on the next interview. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a great day. Bye, guys.